In the early 90s, we had come out of a period of time when we really weren't collecting for a few years because we were collecting Art Deco apartment buildings on South Beach. We had become one of the early developers in South Beach of the refurbishment and placing on the historic National Register of Art Deco buildings. And that, if you know anything about real estate, it turns you upside down, shakes all the money out of your pocket and tosses you aside, and that's basically what had happened. But by '92, we were ready to collect again. We had had this print collection for a decade, but we wanted to do something different. And the biggest challenge we had was, what would we do? And we looked at, interestingly enough, African art, but the problem we had there was we couldn't tell the fakes from the real ones, and nor could almost anybody else. We then looked at a really interesting thing that I wish for till today, and that is the collection of architectural renderings by contemporary architects. And it became a really big, interesting area for a while. But then the AIA said, you know, you really shouldn't be selling these things. You need to keep your archive and donate it to Yale or to Columbia or some architectural school somewhere. So that market dried up pretty quickly, although I do have a couple of Frank Gehry and Hans Hollein drawings stashed in the storage somewhere. And so we were stuck. We really wanted to start collecting again. We wanted to do something new. And we did what we always do. We went back to the auctions, and we found just a work of art that we liked. And we bought it. And it was an interesting part photograph and part text piece by an artist named Lorna Simpson. We went back 6 months later to the auctions, and we bought another piece. And it was a photograph, again, with some text. But it takes 3 to make a collection. So the next time we went, we bought an Andres Serrano print photograph, an Andres Serrano photograph, the well-known artist, photographer who made Piss Christ, which got everybody in the art world upset. But that one had no text, so the text idea was out. But we began to ask ourselves, could this contemporary photography idea, artists who use photography as a basis for making their work, but are really more conceptual artists, could that be a collection for us? And ultimately, we resolved that it was, and we had one of the only significant scaled collections of contemporary art that was photo-based. Because when you think of photography, photography has always been the redheaded stepchild in the art world. It was always kind of shunted off to the side because it's editioned, it's multiples. In the old days, artists would print however many prints somebody would be willing to pay for. So it was always kind of a lesser animal. But newer artists that were coming out of art school simply felt that photography was a tool that could be used to express themselves conceptually. And we got into that really early and wrote it for another decade, really. And at the end, we had probably 400 or 500 contemporary photographs or photo-based work. And that turned out to be a really rich, vibrant, exciting thread for us that we learned so much about ourselves and so much about the work.